Welcome back. Earlier this year, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick started a somewhat surprising political food fight. It involves legislation to rename the New York strip steak to the Texas strip steak. Now, this beef escalated just a few days ago when a resolution SCR 46 moved out of the Senate and from a committee and to the full Senate, which was taking it up on Thursday. Todd Shapiro, a restaurant owner in Albany, he's threatening to file a lawsuit to block this rebranding. I spoke to Shapiro about his come and take it stand.
Your crazy lieutenant governor comes up with this idea to try to get rid of the New York strip steak. Now, I'm a New York institution. The War Room is where everybody comes. Forget about it. You come here, you hang out, you get steaks. I mean, it was called the New York strip, not the Texas strip, not the Louisiana strip, not the California strip, the New York strip. It was invented in the Delmonico's restaurant over 100 or something years ago. And people come here, and we must sell at least 50 to 60 steaks a day. It's not so much if it's a Texas cow or a cow coming from New Jersey or a Jersey steer. It's about the cook, the preparation, the style, the meat quality. It's called the New York strip. Now this guy is trying to get in the media. You're telling me you have nothing better to do in Texas except name steaks after each other? Come on.
Are you really worried that this will hurt business for you?
Politicians purely trying to get themselves in the paper, trying to drive themselves some media. This is about human life. This is about job creation, about keeping my employees alive, selling steaks. My chef spends days, nights preparing our steaks, marinating them, making a certain New York strip that's made nowhere else. And now you bunch of yahoos are trying to turn around and steal my business by renaming it. It's ridiculous. It's done. It's nonsense. It's political BS.
Are you still thinking about a lawsuit?
We're definitely. So I got about 30 people going to do a class action lawsuit, and we're not going to stop until these politicians come running home. We'll even put money against everyone that they run against. I'll start a super PAC here. I'll get millions of dollars with some of my billionaire friends to put money in campaigns against these yo-yos. It is wrong what they're trying to do. I mean, a lieutenant governor has nothing better to do, and then he's trying to get everyone about to rename a steak for a bunch of ranchers. What is that going to do for them, except hurt my business?
Aren't you taking this a little bit too personal?
Personal? They're wasting taxpayers' time by making this into legislation. I want people in Texas to flourish, but people in Texas, they should be doing other things rather than worrying about taking away someone's livelihood, trying to take a steak and renaming it. I mean, I'm going to sue them for $1 million.
Would you like to put an invitation to the lieutenant governor to come up to Albany?
I sent the letter to him. I sent the letter, told him we would go down there and bring some people down there. He did not answer my letter. I'm not messing with politics. I'm not messing with Texas government. Why is he messing with the restaurant business? Not happening. Forget about it. This guy, they need to keep politics out of steaks.
It's got to be one of my favorite interviews of all time. Forget about it. Hey, that's certainly a New York spin on come and take it, right? Greg, Shapiro considers it a bunch of bull. The cut isn't trademarked, though, or owned by any single person or company. So does Shapiro really have a beef in this, Greg?
Oh, Rudy, as someone who derives great joy literally every weekend presiding over Gru's Grill, Lone Star Light in hand on my little patch of Texas, this completely manufactured dispute actually piques my interest. As the nation's top beef producer, whose flagship university's mascot is actually a beef steer with badass horns and a beloved pro football franchise named in honor of those who pushed meat on the hoof north of the Red River so that Yankees like Mr. Shapiro could actually buy a steak, I'd say we are well within our rights to call that tender, tasty cut in question anything we damn well please in Texas. So as a lifelong Texan who worked in an auction barn, hauled my fair share of hay, and studied cowboy folklore at the University of Texas, I'm backing Lieutenant Dan on this. Rudy?
Woo, horns up there from Greg Grugan. You know, the lieutenant governor certainly loves poking the bear. No surprise. A recent poke came on social media with Patrick holding up a menu from a popular Austin restaurant, Steakhouse, that had the name changed on it. But I found out it really wasn't changed. It wasn't the restaurant's main menu. It was just a list of food options done for a special event for the lieutenant governor. I did speak to a local butcher, though, who said he's going to start marketing the cuts with the new Texas name. This resolution could certainly just fizzle out and just be remembered something like, you know, freedom fries, but it can also be something that local businesses, ranchers, maybe as a marketing pitch. Stephen, is there real economic meat in a name change?
I mean, look, I'm an outsider. It's well documented. I ain't from here. I'm from the great state of Georgia. So maybe I come at it with a different lens. I agree with everything that Greg said, right? But my question is, if Texas is so known for its beef, then why didn't Texas already name this strip the Texas Strip? That's my question. Why are we just diving into this? Why wasn't this something that was talked about years and years ago when Greg and Rudy were my age? That's my question.
Oh, there's something you could sink your teeth into. Thank you, Stephen. Well, you know, a threat of a lawsuit, you know, certainly has no teeth until that lawsuit is filed. Shapiro did make a point that a New York strip is about how the steak is prepared. Greg, maybe that's the compromise. Keep the name for the cut, but allow a change for how it's prepared. Throw a ghost pepper or two on the side, call it a Texas strip, something like that. What do you think about that as a compromise?
Rudy. You've been in Texas long enough to know that it's not how the steak is prepared, it's how the beef is butchered. Now, that said, I've got a suggestion for Lieutenant Governor Patrick. How about in this age of tariff saber rattling, we place a surtax on all steak shipped to the Big Apple from the Lone Star State and are marketed using that old inaccurate name. In other words, if you want to call it a New York strip, you're going to have to pay for the privilege. I bet all this lawsuit talk would simmer down real quick, or they can buy from a pretend cattle state like Montana.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh man, now we're going to make Montana mad at us. Oh my goodness. Why don't we just go out to Chicago? Hey, Stephen, if you could serve up a different kind of Texas strip steak, you know, how would you make it different from a New York strip? What would you toss on it?
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, you mentioned adding some different type of heat to it since our, you know, Tex-Mex connection. So some heat to it may make a difference. But I mean, like Greg said, it's about the cut of the meat, right? Not necessarily the how it's prepared. That's the argument to our friends to the north. It's funny he said yo-yos. I was just trying to write down a running list of all the names that he had. Man, get this guy and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick in a bar and they can eat their steaks and have a couple of adult beverages and hash this out. I think it would be pay-per-view TV. Man, this is crazy. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. You know, the one thing, guys, that I think that maybe has some meat to it in regards to this threat, sorry, all the puns through this thing, is the PAC threat. You know, he has a lot of connections up there in New York, you know, knows a lot of politicians up there. And, we talk about primarying, you know, the Republicans primarying Republicans, Democrats primarying Democrats. Now you got a New York restaurant guy who's going to throw a beefsteak at you and do a pack. You know, is that the most serious threat out of this whole thing? What do you think, Greg?
You know, I got to answer what Stephen said. You know, we were too busy moving the beef up north to worry about the naming, that you know, Madison Avenue stuff. That's New York business.
All right, well, guys, when we come back, we've got issues in this, more issues than this beef talk.